All right, so I messed up this part of the recording. I wanted to make sure and go back that I did it correctly. So today we're reading John chapter 3. Um, let's go ahead and turn my mic up as well too, because that was the main issue that I was having. My mic is mad low. So John chapter 3, Jesus teaches Nicodemus. Now there was a Pharisee, a man named Nicodemus, who was a member of the Jewish ruling council. He came to Jesus at night and said, Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher who has come from God, for no one could perform the signs you are doing if God were not with him. Jesus replied, Verily, I tell you, no one can see the kingdom of God unless they are born again. How can someone be born again when they are old? Nicodemus asked. Surely they can't enter a second time into their mother's womb to be born. Jesus answered, Verily true, I tell you, no one can enter the kingdom of God unless they are born of water and the Spirit. Flesh gives birth to flesh, but Spirit gives birth to spirit. You should not be surprised at my saying, you must be born again. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone who is born of the Spirit. How can this be? Nicodemus asked. You are Israel's teacher, Jesus said, and do you not understand these things? Verily, very truly, I tell you, we speak of what we know and we testify what we have seen, but still you people do not accept our testimony. I have spoken to you of earthly things and you do not believe. How then will you believe if I speak to you about heavenly things? No one has ever gone into heaven except the one who has came from heaven, the Son of Man. Just as Moses lifted up a snake in the wilderness, so the Son of Man must be lifted up, that everyone who believes may have eternal life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, and whoever believed in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe stands condemned already, because they have not believed in the name of God's one and only Son. This is the verdict. Light has come into the world. People love darkness instead of light because their deeds were evil. Everyone who does evil hates the light and will continue into the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light, so that it may be seen plainly that what they have done has been done in the sight of God. And this is a different time. John the Baptist testifies again about Jesus. After this, Jesus and his disciples went out into the Judean countryside, where he spent some time with them and baptized. Now John was baptizing at Aenon near Salin. Might have said those names very incorrectly, because there was plenty of water and people that were coming and being baptized. This was before John was put in prison. An argument developed between some of John's disciples and a certain Jew over the matter of ceremonial washing. They came to John and said to the Rabbi, that man who was with you on the other side of the Jordan, that one you testify about, look, he is baptizing and everyone is going to him. To John replied, a person can only receive what is given them from heaven. You yourselves can testify that I said I am not the Messiah, but am sent ahead of him. The bride belongs to the bridegroom. The friend who attends the bridegroom waits and listens for him and is full of joy when he hears the bridegroom's voice. That joy is mine, and it is now complete. He must become greater. I must become less. The one who comes from above is above all. The one who is in the earth belongs to the earth and speaks as one from the earth. The one who comes from the heavens is above all. He testifies to what he has seen and heard, but no one accepts his testimony. Whoever has accepted it has certified that God is truthful. For the one whom God has sent speaks the words of God, for God gives the Spirit without limit. The Father loves the Son and has placed everything in his hands. Whoever believes in the Son has eternal life, but whoever rejects the Son will not see life, for God's wrath remains on them. Amen. That I teach for various different companies. I'm not going to use any names. Don't want them to think that I'm stealing their content when I go through these videos. But my point is, though, the students in the class absolutely dislike my guts for teaching them this. Their code never works. Now, I am so unsure how that happens. I cannot see their code. I can't see anything when we move my camera. All I know is that it doesn't work. So I don't know why. Try to follow all the syntax that I put in here. I'm gonna zoom in as much as possible. If it's not working, hit me up in the comments below. I will try my best to help you. Always please copy and paste your code if you really do have a big issue, and then so I could look through it. Maybe I could run it through ChatGPT a couple times, see where the error is at, and I am more than willing to help you whatever your problem is. But let's go ahead and get started on this. So the first thing we're gonna do is import a library. So in Python, we can import libraries. What libraries are there things that have a lot of code and a lot of instructions that are already pre-built. So we don't have to worry about building these things. They're already pre-built for us in Python. So the first library we want to import is time. Import time. We're going to be making a timer, not timeout. We want to import time. We're going to be making a timer. So we want to go ahead and import time. Another thing that we want to import, are they telling me that time does not exist? I don't know what that was. But another thing that we want to, let me just run this to make sure it works. All right, we import time. That works. All right, so another thing we want to do is import date time. So I want to import date time. We'll also be asking the chatbot what today is, and it'll give us a date time. It's going to be looking very nasty at first, but don't worry, we can definitely do some work on that. You can in your free time. I'm not going to do it in this tutorial. It's just going to come out as whatever date and time it is for you. Another thing, the last thing we want to do is import random. So random, whenever a computer doesn't know how to do something randomly, we have to teach it, and that takes a lot of different calculations to get something that is truly random every single time. So instead of us having to make those calculations happen, we just import a random. We import the random library that already has all the information, the coding structure, the data created for us to just randomly make stuff happen in our code. So these are our libraries. Remember, we don't want to rebuild the wheel. If something's already out there for us to use, we just want to utilize that to make our coding process faster. The goal is to always just code as quickly as you can. Now, we want to know what AI is doing. I know you could just put in AI, hey, make all this, and AI can make it, especially nowadays, depending on your subscription program to any of the various AI programs. But what's important is we understand what the robots are doing, because listen to me. Hey, listen, if you don't understand, the robots will take over. So we got to at least know what's going on. Wait a minute. I said, listen, bro. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Let me just go ahead and switch this over right now. It says camo. Oh, I see what the issue is. I never updated my camera. Bro, I was coming in blurry this whole time. This entire time. Well, there we go. A little bit more clear now. But listen, bro. Don't let the AI take over. We got to know what is going on. So let's go ahead and import random, import date time. Hey, I'm a little new to this. If you're watching this for the first time, I do make mistakes like this often. Check me out on the live stream, Twitch in the description. Let's go ahead and keep going though. You can already tell the music was a little loud when I started, but the next video, like I said, I'm gonna turn out right after this, will look way better. The improvements will be very quick. After we want to do this, we want to type in print. All right, now print is a built-in function that is in Python already. What this basically does is print words into our output. So it will print something onto the screen for us to be able to see. So if I press run, right now I print nothing. So I gave you the Mbappe special. I don't know why I did that. Now let me put quotation marks right here and actually put like words in here. That's my name. Please don't dox me. We're gonna go ahead and print Amir. And now you see down here in the output, it printed what I typed in print. So print is how we could get things to appear in our output that we just want to see quickly. So basically print means show this in the output area. It could be variables as well too, which we'll get into in a second, but it can also just be, do we get into variables? We actually don't make any variables here. So just for the love of the game, I guess, we're just gonna go ahead and make a variable. I don't know what we're gonna do with it, but this is how we would make a variable in Python. So I would just say X, and the great thing about Python is in a lot of other languages, you have to just explain what X is, whether that's an integer, a float. These are different data types. Different data types are different type of things. I'll put the link to Python's documentation in the description so you could know some of these words that I'm talking about as well too. But data types are just different types of data. I don't really know any other way I could say that, but we can use text that we type in. We can use integers. A whole number is different than a decimal point number, and a decimal point number with just one number and a decimal point is different than a float, or I'm forgetting it off the top of my head, but there is a elongated float where you could put in more decimals. So we could get more and more precise decimals. Like I said, I'll be putting the link in the description so you can see all the different type of data types, but double would. All right, I want to stop and fix a mistake that I made. Here I'm talking about how doubles, you could have only one decimal point and then only one digit will go for a double. I don't know how true that is. It might be true in other languages, but for the most part, in Python, at least in the language that we're using currently, a double actually can hold more digits after the decimal or in total in memory than a float can. A double can hold up to 16 to 17 digits because it is 8 byte. A float is 4 byte, so it can only hold 6 to 7. Now the 6 to 7 and the 16 to 17, this is going to depend on the fact that we have negatives. Negatives will take up some space, and there will always be a number in front of the decimal point. So regardless, there will always be like a 0, and there may be a negative, and there may be a positive depending on the number that we are putting in. But I just wanted to go and clarify that because I did make a mistake here in talking about doubles, so I wanted to go back. Doubles actually hold more, and they're more accurate than a float. A float is all that we can use in Trinket.io because a double actually takes up more space than a float. So I wanted to go and clarify that about data types before I continue to yap incorrectly. But we don't have to say in front of this, hey, I want a float. You don't have to put float right here before we start. You don't have to say, hey, I want this, I want that. You can if you want to, if you're coming from a different language and you're used to doing that. But in Python, you can just go ahead and type in whatever you're going to type in. So this is a float. This is a double with just one digit after a decimal point. And then right here with no digits at all, no decimal points at all, this is an integer. So we will not round up. That is an important thing. If you get a decimal point and you are forcing it to be an integer, it is only going to take that first number. So we have 4.5. It's not rounding it up for you. You have to do that yourself with its own method that we would use, but we do not have that function. We won't be going over that function. We have that function built into Python round. We have floor and we have ceiling, but I won't be going over any of that. So you will only be getting one unless you round your number. So if you do end up having decimals and you think it's automatically going to round, it will not if it's an integer. Then we have strings, which are words. Anything that we can type in on this keyboard can be a string. Anything that is on this keyboard, anything that is on your keyboard can be considered a string if it is inside these quotation marks, and we can type in anything. Now, if I go ahead and delete this real fast, I can just put X. And now if I print X, I press run. Now it prints the words that we typed in. Hey, pretty cool. Now, if I wanted to have X not be words and just be 3, I don't need to go down here and change anything. I just put in 3, and that's why variables are so great. So if I use something numerous times throughout my code, I don't have to change it over and over again. I can just go to the top where I declare my variable and I can change it. Now, when you first create your variable, your initialization, that is called declaring a variable. So we declared the variable right here. Now later on, you can change the value of a variable, but that is not a declaration. The declaration is when you first create the variable and assign it a value. That is a declaration. Now, don't quote me on that. That might be wrong. We're just going to continue on now, though. We won't be using any variables today, but what I do want you to do is begin to print. What we're going to print is some words. Since we're making a chatbot, we're going to say welcome to Chatbot. And you know, I've been a Chatbot today in this video, and it hasn't even been the greatest production, I feel like, but hey, if you're still rocking with me, I appreciate it. After we do that, we're going to type in print, and then we're going to keep going. So this is just going to be repetitive. It's just more strings for us to type in. Nothing new to learn here. So I'm just going to go ahead and type this in real quick. And my typing is pretty slow, but hey, this is a tutorial. So you have time to do this without actually having to pause the video to see what I am typing in here. I should be able to type faster than this. There's no excuse for my typing being this slow. I spend most of my time on a computer and a lot of time coding. And I code a lot of complicated things. And to think, this is how slow I type the entire time. Luckily, AI came out, so now I could just use AI and copy and paste most of it. But oh boy, before AI was good, it took forever for me to type anything, and then I have to be like, oh, this is wrong, and then go retype it slowly. Like when your mind is moving faster than whatever you're typing in, that kind of sucks sometimes. We're gonna go ahead and put this print right here. Now I want to see this real fast, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put print, and this will just be a guess. Now I was using Trinket, and Trinket, it will print these parentheses. Now I'm almost 100% certain that is not supposed to happen. We can also use a line break here, which we can go ahead and try. So I'll show you what a line break is. We'll just put /in. We could go ahead and put this in the parentheses. Don't know why I put that outside the parentheses. We'll put /in, and that creates a line break. You notice how that is not looking like any of the other words that are in the parentheses. That is because that is something that we're telling the computer. So now, normally, if I just kept typing after this, I would say, hello, just to give you an example, and I press run. We see hello is on a different line than chatting with the chatbot. So this is called a line break. So we can use a line break, but if you use a line break, sometimes things get a little bit messy, but we will use a line break in a little bit later on when we create one of these lists that we're gonna make for our jokes, because we want our chatbot to tell jokes. So we will be using line break in a second, but that is called a line break. Now, I just want you to create a little bit of space. So I'm just gonna have you go here, and you're just gonna type in print. And then if we want to clear this out, we could just go ahead and press clear output. So that way we could get everything back to having nothing. I'm just going to put print with nothing in here real quick. And then I'm going to type some words in. I'm going to see if this creates a line gap. I want a gap. So not just a line break, go to the next line. I want a literal gap in the wording that we're going to have here. And then so what I'm going to print right here, just real quick, is just what's your name, to see this real quick. We'll go back and we'll change this. What's your name? So you're learning something with me right here. I'm gonna press run, and then we'll just see how this goes. What's your name? Did not give me a space of a line, so I'm gonna go ahead and put quotation marks right here with nothing. And then it still is not giving me a line space. Let's see if we go here. I put line break / remember, not / in, and then let me try putting some space like that. That created what I wanted, but let's just go ahead and do this without the line break and see if it gives me enough space now that I put some space into the parentheses. And let's press run one more time real quick. So that gave me what I was looking for. This is what I'm looking for. So go ahead and type in print. We can't type in print with nothing at all, but if you just add at least one space, I believe, it will go ahead and give us the line gap like I wanted. So now we could go ahead and delete this last print line on line 7. What I want you to do now is we are going to make a variable. So slipped my mind, we do make a variable. We make a variable, but what we're gonna do with this variable is we're gonna input something else that I didn't talk about. We're gonna take the user input. So down here in output, I'll be able to type. The way that I'm able to type or put things into the output for the computer to then use later is called input function. It's something that is built into Python as well too. As you see, it showed up right there, and it is a function. Notice everything that I say is a function has these parentheses at the end. So every single function, you know it's a function by the parentheses. A function is basically an action that the computer can perform. We can teach the computer to do functions. I will not get into that, but that is called defining a function. Unfortunately, in both of these tutorials, I don't do that, but maybe I'll look for a way to define a function on the calculator app. I'll go ahead and add that in so we could have a definition of a function for our next project that we work on. But today, just think, every time you see the parentheses, that's a function. What is a function? An action that the computer can perform. Me and you perform actions all the time. A function is just an action that the computer can perform. So why does it have parentheses? Because you can pass parameters into functions, because remember, a function is basically code that is already created for us. And sometimes we want to pass, just like I'm typing in input and we're going to put an input into our code so we can use it. Sometimes you want to pass different things into a function so you can use it right there in the function. So kind of the same way that I'm making this input right now. We're going to put in input and then we can use whatever we type in our code. Sometimes you could put things into these parentheses and then pass them into the function, and the function can use whatever we're putting into parentheses. So now, if that was a little confusing, don't worry. Like I said, I'm gonna make sure I add definitions to the calculator. So what we're gonna put right here is a quotation marks. Now, first, if we just had a regular, I wanna be very thorough in my tutorial here. If we just had a regular, it will say input. So now we could submit an input and I could type something in, but that wasn't really how I wanted it to look. I might go ahead and switch to a different application if all my inputs look like that, but we're gonna type in, what is your name? What is your name. So we're gonna type in what is your name with a question mark. And then when I press run here, it says, what is your name? What is your name? The only thing is this is running instantaneously, so we can't really see everything that's above it. And I don't really like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it audible. I'm sorry for wasting your time here. We're going to go ahead and switch to this application called Trinket, just so you can see this a little bit better. Now, normally the way that it works would work like how we're gonna see here on Trinket, and just ignore this because this is actually, I'm not logged in, so great. I was about to say this is probably a lesson that I was teaching, but since I'm not logged in, this is all my own original code. So what I just did right now, if you didn't catch that, is I went ahead and copied everything from Python Playground, and I went to Trinket and I pressed Control V and I pasted it. Why am I doing that? Because now when I press play, you can see it a little bit different. You can see all the words, and I could type this in more like how it would look if we were using a VS Code. And this is how I want it to look. So you can actually see everything that we've typed in so far. And it's not just like, boom, put in the input, boom, put in the input. So maybe there's a way to work that around on Python Playground, but maybe there's not. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go here, and we'll be using trinket.io. It is free. And for the rest of the time being. So we could go to trinket.io, and then one more time, links will all be in the description, even to Python Playground, even though I made a mistake right there, trinket.io. So, all right, after we do this, we have input, name equals input. And then after we do that, we're going to print. If you have another website and everything was working fine for you and it looks like this when you ask for an input, that is great. If it looked like what just happened on Python Playground, then go ahead and try to go to something else, because that is not what we want. I want you to actually be able to see the words before you type in anything, or even just be able to type in stuff next to the words that you're typing in like we have here. So that's why I made that switch. But all right, so with all that being said, we have name input, what is your name? What is your name? And then you can see here, I could type in my name. Amir is my name, and then that is it. We don't have any code after that, so our program stops, but we can still see everything that we outputted before that. Welcome to Chatbot, type bye when you want to stop chatting. All right, so now that we did that, let's go ahead and make a list. So to make a list is a little bit different from making a variable. So to make a list is a data type that can hold multiple different values. Normally we put the same value type in there. Now you can put a string and a number, but normally, I believe the word is homogeneous. We usually put the same types of things that are related to each other inside of here. Now, there's different types of arrays like this that hold data. If you want to hold two things, you might use a dictionary or different things that are possible through Python. Like I said, Python documents link in the description. But for today, we're just going to go ahead and be using a list. And our array is basically a data type that is going to hold multiple different data types. Like I said, it could hold multiple different values, is what I should say. Not multiple different data types, but an array is basically a data type that can hold multiple different values. A list is the most basic form of that. So what we're going to be putting in here is greetings. So sometimes when we get down to our code, we are going to have multiple different things that we can say. You might not only say one thing. For a lot of things, when we type in bye, that will be it. We'll just check if whatever we typed in is equal to bye, and that will be that. But for things like greeting, you might not always say hi. So I don't want the bot to be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about if you decide to say hello and I was only checking for hi. So instead, we create a list of all the things that we might possibly check for, and then we just check if message is in the list. If message is any of the things that we type in inside of this greetings list, then we'll go ahead and greet the user back. So I'm gonna start with hi. And then I'll put a comma, and then you put quotation marks again. This whole thing should not be in one quotation mark. There should be multiple different quotation marks for all the different things that you want to check for, all the different strings you want to check for when we first say hi. So since this is greeting, go ahead and type in all the different greetings you could think of. Hey, or you might say hello, or you might say what's up. One thing that is important that we do here is make sure that all these are lowercase, because what we're going to do is we're going to take our input, and regardless of if it's uppercase or lowercase, we're going to make everything lowercase. And the reason we're going to do that is so we don't have to worry about trying an uppercase version and the lowercase version and an all caps version, and I messed up on this word. It doesn't matter. We're just going to have the computer take whatever we type in and force it to be lowercase. And I'm working a little bit ahead by making this list, but I promise if you just stick with me, all of this will make more sense in a second. So we have hi, we have hello, we have what's up. You might say, hey, how's it? I don't know. How's it? Nah, not really. But we might say something like, hello there. Top of the morning to you. Now I'm just playing. But there's multiple different greetings. I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. We have hi, hey, hello, what's up, hello there. Hello, governor. Let's go ahead and just add that because I'm just sitting here yapping for no reason. Did we spell that right? Probably not, but that's how I would type that into the computer. After we do that, we are just going to go ahead and close down a bracket. We have our name equals input. What's your name? What is your name? So now we're going to make one more list, but we're going to do this next list a little bit later. So that is how we make a list. I want to explain to you what is going on first and how we're going to use. Actually, I'm taking it all back. We're just going to go ahead and make the list right now. The next list is going to be called jokes. So I want to make a list of jokes. And remember earlier how I said we are going to use a line break. This is where our line break is going to come in, because you're not going to say, what did the cow say to the dog? And I will show you this by going to go ahead and print. Now, this part might be a little confusing, so I'm going to try to explain it very quickly. We won't really use it at all today, but basically when you have a list, we have to start, we don't count by numbers, we count by index. And basically what an index is, the index is going to start at the beginning of the list. So the first item that I put into this list, let's go ahead and make my jokes first so you can understand this, so I can have actually something to point to. Now, I'm not going to actually type this in. I already have this all queued up, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy a couple jokes in here. And when we paste our jokes, we want to make sure we add a line break. Now, I'm going to show you, and I just went ahead and added a lot of jokes in here, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what this looks like without a line break. So let's take out this /n, and let's go ahead and try to print this first joke. Now, remember, what I was saying is when we use index to track a list. So to track where we're at in our list, if we're trying to refer back to it, we would use an index. Now, you can check the length of your list and it will just give you the number of items in your list. It won't start at 0. However, if we're trying to go and locate something, like if we want the address of something, like basically if we want to go find the first item in the list, we would put joke, and then the way that we would get to the first item is we would use the index. The index is how we would find that first item. So now, if we want to go to the first item is 0. Why is the first item 0? Because the way that the computer thinks about this is you have a list, and we're going to count the list from the beginning of the list. So the beginning of the list is 0, okay? Just like you count from 0 technically, but the first number you're going to say is 1. But we started at 0. We started at 0, and we're counting the numbers that go away from 0. 1, 2, 3. We're 3 away from 0, okay? Do you understand that? So we started at 0. We didn't really say it, but we started at 0, and we continue from there. The list works the same way. But the thing about the list is it doesn't start with nothing. If you have nothing in your list, then the list doesn't exist. The list starts at the first thing that you put inside of the list. So our first item in the list would actually be 0, because that is where we're going to start our counting from. So we start at 0. The second item would actually be 1 if we were trying to access it, and the third item would be 2. And I will show you this right now. So for example, I'm going to print 0, and then I'm going to print, and I'm going to put in parentheses here, and I'll put joke, and then we'll go ahead and put brackets around this. So then I'll print just 3. So 3, you might be thinking, oh, that's 1, 2, 3. Wrong. Okay, so really what 3 would be is the 1, 2, 3 would not be 3. It will really be 4, because we started at 0. So it's really 0, 1, 2, 3. So it'll really be, why did the student eat their homework? Now I want to show you 2 things when I press print right now. I am going to have to type in my name, and then after I type in my name, we'll see this. So I type it on here. Notice, let me drag this out so we can see. Notice it says, why did the computer go to the doctor? Because it had a virus. There is no break. But down here it says, why did the student eat their homework? Because the teacher said it was a piece of cake. You see the break between the lines, and that is why we added the line break. So it's not just one consistent line, a question mark, then it goes straight into the words. We can add a space right there so it doesn't look as bad, but we kind of don't want it to go straight into the words. We want it to have a little line break and then it says the joke. So that is what we add the line break for. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my line break back. And then now notice, like I said earlier, 0 was actually the first thing in our list. The fourth thing in our list was actually number 3. When I put 3, that was actually this why question. Why did the student eat their homework? Instead of it actually being what do you call? Because remember, indexes, we start at 0. So any number that you want in the list, if I want the 5th item in the list, I'm really gonna minus 1 and get the and put 4 to find that item. If I want the 7th item in my list, I'm really gonna minus 1 and put a 6 to find that item. Now I'm gonna give you 1 second to actually pause real quick. Go ahead and copy my jokes. They're pretty good, you know. All kid friendly. I kept it family friendly for all of these jokes that I have right here. So go ahead and, you know, copy a couple if you want to, you know, or don't. It's your life, man. I'm not gonna force you to do nothing. But we have our list of jokes right here. Now I'm gonna keep moving because I'm already at 26 minutes. I've been doing a lot of yippiter yapper. A lot of that was me fumbling through the Bible, but I do want to make sure I continue forward here. So we're gonna go ahead and I can no longer see. So I'm gonna zoom out a little bit very quickly, real quick, just so I can see this. Okay, we did put a bracket. My camera was in the way. I will have to set this up a little bit differently. All right, everybody, I'm back. You know, a couple different things. I went ahead and cropped myself out, the background out, because you couldn't see the words anymore. It's starting to become the words. Now it would just be my large head in the way. I will go ahead and bring me down here just a little bit so you can just see my neck, and that's about it in my head. So that way I'm taking up as minimal space as possible. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get back to it though. I might zoom out a little bit, but I kind of want you to be able to see everything. So let's go ahead and continue though. We're gonna type in print, and then after we type in print, what we're going to print is we're going to begin to print nice to meet you. So we're gonna use the variable that we just got. My fault, I was trying to type in OBS. I'm actually tweaking out. But we're gonna go ahead and put parentheses, quotation marks, and you're gonna say nice to meet. I'm sorry for putting a hard R on that. Nice to meet you. And then we're going to go ahead and put plus name plus quotation marks, exclamation point. So nice to meet you name, and then let's go ahead and run that. So my name is Amir. We no longer, oops, and make sure if you're using Trinket.io, you click on this, you will mess up your whole code if you just start typing. I accidentally typed in my code, so that would mess up a lot of stuff. I'm gonna type in my name, which is Amir, and I press enter. Nice to meet you, Amir. Notice this is all one word, you Amir. So what I want to change here is I just want to simply go to the end of you and add a space. And what we did here was we added a variable in the middle. The variable is name. The name is whatever we type in. Remember, we're going to type in stuff and use it for later. So here we are using the things that we input in our code already. So name, Amir. Now, if you're using Python Playground, it wouldn't have showed this and it would have went straight to our next input. So that's why I had to make that lane switch. But we went ahead and got on here, and now you can actually see everything as we put it in. So this is better for us to learn and understand what is going on. I'm not trying to diss Python Playground. If that's what you like to use, more power to you. We're gonna print nice to meet you plus name plus and then exclamation point. So I'm gonna go ahead and run that one more time. So then I could type in my name. My name is Amir, and then nice to meet you, Amir, and it's properly spaced because we added a space at the end of you. So great. Now we're gonna press enter. So after we do that, we're gonna print another blank line. We're gonna print another blank line, and what we want to do is, if you use the apostrophes, it does the same thing. So you don't really have to worry about it now. If you start with apostrophes, you're good. I cannot tell you what will happen if you use apostrophes randomly in the middle of your code. But if I just went back and took out this nice and I just used apostrophe and I used apostrophe here, can I even mix them? Let's see if I can mix them. We'll press run and then I'll type in Amir. Let's see if it gives me an error. Yep, we can even mix them up. So you can use apostrophe, then you can use quotation marks. Now let's see if I say meets. Now we're throwing a couple errors though if you use apostrophes, because it's taking the apostrophes as the beginning and ending of our words. So that's why I don't normally use them. I'm gonna go ahead and just use quotation marks just in case you want to add apostrophes like we did up here where I said, what's your name? It didn't give me any errors, but you can use apostrophes the same way that you could use quotation marks. So I'm gonna just leave apostrophes right there just for that. And then we put another blank line, and now I do define a function in my code. This did not work, so we're gonna skip over that part though, because for whatever reason, I could not get this to work. Now, yeah, and it's defined and it's never even used. So that's great. We're not gonna define this. I tried to define date time in this tutorial when I first created it, but for whatever reason, when I try to run it, it was working, then it wasn't working, and I don't wanna give you any issues. I also don't wanna restart this video way down the line once we get there. So let's go ahead and just use no definitions for this one. I'll make sure in the calculator video I get you that definition though, I'm not gonna forget. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put while true. So what we just created now is a while loop. While true, a while loop. So an if statement happens if a condition is happening. So if a condition happens, the if statement is going to run one time. We'll work on an if statement in a second. So think about this. An if statement is if something's happening, we're going to do something one time. Now, while loop is while something is happening. Same thing as if almost, but the difference is while it is happening, we're going to do it repeatedly. So if it's hot outside, I'm going to make sure I grab a tank top. While it is hot outside, I'm going to be wearing a tank top. That's kind of the difference between the two of them. Or let me think of something that is like very usual. If it's raining, I'm gonna bring my umbrella. But while it's raining outside, I'm gonna actually have the umbrella open and be using it. So that's the difference between if and while. While true means while our application is running. That's all that means. So while our application is running, we're going to be doing something. What we're going to be doing is constantly running back through our loop of questions and talking to our user until they say bye, like we put at the very beginning of our code. Type bye to end. Once we put bye, we will break out of this loop and we will end our code. But let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to do is make another variable. And we're getting to the point to where I could just begin to type. I feel like I explained a lot of stuff to you. We're still gonna have to talk about for loops and the if statements when they come up, but I'm getting to the point to where we could just type. So we have message, if message, and then not if, there's no if here, my fault. Message equals input. And then all that I wanted to say is say something to the chatbot. So I just want to put stars and I'm gonna say something to the chat bot. Now, when I was running my code through AI a whole bunch of times, AI was kind of talking like, I don't know, like it used to do this all the time. Like when you copy and paste your sentences from AI, it would say like the chat bot, then it would say you, and it would say AI, then it would say you. That's one way that we can know who is talking. You could put you when it's you talking, chatbot when the chatbot is talking. So instead, they would just have you with parenthesis with colon at the beginning of everywhere where you're gonna put an input. And then, so they would also put, what is your name? You put you, what is your name? And then you put you in front of that. I didn't really like it because it doesn't really make that much sense when it comes to in practice. Kind of makes sense, kind of doesn't really. I'm just gonna put star, say something to the chatbot. That's all I'm gonna put. That's what I like to use better, but you could try to do that you bot back and forth with the colon so the user knows. We just want the user to understand that, hey, we need you to type something in. And the reason we want to do this is because it will just be blinking. So it'll be waiting for the user to put something in after the robot says, nice to meet you. So I'm gonna keep going here. Now we're gonna make our first if statement. Now remember earlier I said if, and I was talking about messages in greetings, and we made this greeting list so we could then just check. We could just go hi, hi, hi. So if message equals. So when we're checking for something, when we're making it equal to something, we just put equals. When we're checking if something is equal to another, like if we're checking, all right, is this the same as this? That will use equals. If we're turning something into something else, like if we're saying like, just like you would do like name equals input. So whatever our name variable is going to be input. So if we're like, it is slipping my mind and I'm not going to be able to find it. But basically, if we are, is it a declaration and we were instantiating earlier and maybe that was the mistake I'm making. That's why I can't think of it. But either way it goes, when we change our variable value, when we are inputting a new value into our variable, we'll just use one equal sign. If we ever change it, or when we initially create it, we just use one equal sign to say this is going to be equal to whatever we have on the other side of it. Now, if we're trying to check, is this equal to whatever we're checking for, so we can run, like, check if a condition is happening, then we'll use two equal signs. Hopefully that made sense. If it didn't, I am sorry. I'm sorry. Please, I'm trying my best. But we're gonna do if message equals, and then we'll check for something. Now, remember, you could put in hi like this, but the problem was I might say hello, and then your robot's gonna look at you and not know what to do. So, and then I'm gonna make a check at the very end that's gonna say, hey, I don't know how to answer that yet. And you're gonna be like, how do you not know how to answer that? But I just coded for you to be answering and responding to hi. All I said was hello. The robots don't understand that. Robots, they're not dumb. I wouldn't say dumb, but they need everything to be explained to them before they are able to, like, do whatever you want it to do. It's just not automatically doing anything. We have to teach it to do everything. Just like you didn't come out the hospital walking, talking, and knowing how to do everything. All those things have to be taught to you, and then you begin to understand how to do them. Then you knew how to eat solid foods, you knew how to eat without choking and stuff like that, and walk. And then once your knees were developed, you were crawling, you were walking. The next thing you know, you're doing all this yippity yapper. What's that, mom? What's that? What's that, dad? What's that? Like, and then we learn things as we go. The computer is the same way. We have to teach it stuff so it knows how to do it in the future. So we could put hi, and then maybe we fix it by saying message equals, and then instead of hi, you go ahead and you put or the next time. So you put quotation marks, not or, hello. And then the way we would do that is you would put an or, and this could go on and on and on, and we could really just use this, or we could use or instead of using the list that we created. But I just feel like the list is the easier way to do it and the better way to do it, in my personal opinion, instead of just putting a whole bunch of ors. But this is a good time to tell you we could check for two conditions, so multiple conditions. I could do this a whole bunch of times, which I'm not going to do because we already made a greeting list. But if I want to check for if one thing is happening or another thing is happening, I put or. You can also check for and. We wouldn't put or though. I believe for and we're going to put two and symbols. And what this means is we're going to check if one thing is happening and another thing is happening. So if message equals hi and it equals hello, which is impossible, that will not happen. So this won't be able to work. But if message equals hi and like maybe name equals Amir, then we say something. So you can check for two conditions. Now, checking for two conditions on the same variable is probably not going to get us what you want, though, because that's we can't be two things at once, man. You can't. You can't do it in real life, and you can't do it here. So we can't have a variable be two things at once. So this doesn't make any sense. But I just wanted to show you we can use and or we can use or. Those are two things we could do. Another thing we could use or are these two lines right here. And then I believe I can actually type in and will work. So and or the two and symbols, or we could put or we could put these two lines right here. They all mean the same thing, and they're turning blue because that is letting us know we're using the right thing. Or pink. I was told this was pink. I'm colorblind. I thought this was blue the entire time. If it's pink, if it's blue, I truly don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and let that one be for you to decide. But we could use or and we could use and. In this instance, we would use or because we'd be checking, is it this, is it that, or is it something else? But instead of using any of these, we will just say if our message is in greetings, the greetings list we created, if our message is in greeting, and I named it greeting, not greetings. If but I'll name it greetings because that makes more logical sense. So I'll just throw an S on the end of it. You know, I might mess people up if I do that. So I'm actually gonna not do that because we already made that. And you might be like, oh, my code is not working. This dude sucks. So let's not do that. I'm just gonna leave it with if message in greeting. I know it doesn't make grammatical sense, but hey, we put multiple greetings inside a greeting. So if my message is one greeting, if it is another greeting, if it's another greeting, then that means we can go ahead and run this code. And what I would want to say right here is just the same thing that we said. We said, nice to meet you, Amir. But instead, this time we're just gonna say hello, name. So if you decide to just type hello afterwards, we're just gonna say hi back because that's the polite thing to do, you know? I know I just said hi, but if you say hi again, you know, hi. Like, you know, hello, 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 hello. Like you do it on the phone all the time, bro. So the robot is gonna be able to do it right now. I'm gonna type in AMERE and nice to meet you, Amir. Say something to the chatbot. I'm gonna say hello. Nice to meet, or hello, Amir. And then I could also say hi. It's doing the same thing. Notice we didn't go all the way back to the top because we already did all that stuff. We already did that nice to meet you and input name before the while loop. So all that we're going to be repeating is everything that we put inside of the while loop right here. So the only thing we have inside the while loop so far is say something, and then we check if it's hi, hello, or what I said, hello, governor. Hello, Amir. Either way it goes, we are going to say hello. Why is that working? Because all of these different data types, all these different words that I'm typing in are up here. Now, I did not do this, so I'm going to show you why, what I was talking about earlier. If I put in capital HELLO, say something in the chatbot. Chatbot was like, hold on, buddy. What are you talking about? And that is because it doesn't understand capitals, but we don't have to overcomplicate this by making a capital word in all this, that, and the third. All we're gonna do is at the end of where we have message equals input, we're gonna go outside the parentheses and we're gonna put a couple of things to make sure we clean up anything that we type in. Because another thing that I could put is if I put a space and then I type in hi, hold on, buddy. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? I don't know. Even though hi is in there, hi is in greetings list. So why didn't it get hi? Because of the space. The space makes it an entirely different string. So what we're going to do first is you're going to dot strip the word. Okay. You're just going to basically take off the spaces and, like you're basically gonna like take off any extra things that might be in the front. I know it's spaces. I feel like random characters as well too. So like slashes, at signs, stars, and things like that. It'll also take off and it'll just give you the words in the string. So then after we do the stripping it, we clean it up. You know, you break it. I don't even know. This is already going sideways. We're gonna take it. After we strip, we're going to go ahead and lower it, and then we're going to go ahead and put parentheses around it. So we put parentheses, we stripped it. So we took off any spaces, any extra thing that was in the front. So let me just show you that with only strip real quick. So it really doesn't matter, actually. I could just show you both at once. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this, press play real quick. What is your name? Gotta start all the way at the top. Make sure you click on where it is talking about trinket. And then I'm gonna type in Amir. I don't know why I put hard R on that one either. But all right, say something to the chatbot. I'm gonna go ahead and put space, and then if I put hi, it still says hi. It's saying my name crazy. I'm not feeling that with the R at the end. But hey, that's how I typed it in. After that, another word we could try is if I put slash and I put some stars and then I type in hi. Okay, I thought that was gonna work. Ignore that. Ignore that. If we put spaces, it works. All right. So then after that, I'm gonna go capital here because what happened? I thought I put lower, my fault. Let's go ahead and add this back. I thought I had us keep this here, but we're gonna put lower because we could show both of these at the same time. So the spaces I already showed to you. Now I can spell my name the right way. And then now I'm gonna show you this. If I put capital H and a capital I, why not? It still says hello, I'm here because we lowercased it. We put it in lowercase instead of capital. So that is what lower does, and that is what strip does. And now you're gonna have to look up what strip also takes out, but it definitely does the spaces, and I knew that much. So I'm sorry, I'm not the greatest at giving you everything off the top of my head. I also don't want to do multiple takes. Let's keep going though. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna ask elif, how are you? So we're gonna do elif, and then you're just going to just say if you ask the robot if message equals, because this is how we check if it is equal to something. If message is the same as how are you, and then we can go ahead and do something. But you might also ask this question a little bit different. So this is a perfect time for us to use or. I'm gonna use the 2 lines just to give you something a little bit different. And then I'm gonna say message equals to how are you doing. So there we go. So now we have how are you and how are you doing. Every single time you get to the end of an if statement, we're going to put colon. So you're like, why do we put EL at the beginning of this if statement? You could just run multiple different if statements, but usually if we're checking for a condition and we want this next check to be kind of a part of the same thing that we're checking up top, we're going to use something called an elif, which is an else if statement. Another reason we're going to do this is because at the very end, we're going to check else. Else is another thing. So it's called an if else statement. So if one thing, do one thing, else do another. But if we want to check if one thing, do one thing, and if something else, that's why we put if else. So this is called an elif. We just put the else in front. So if one thing, do this. If something else, do this. Else, do this last thing. And that is how we can think of this. So now I put this at the end, and then we're just going to simply print here, how are you? And in the next video, I'll probably explain less of this stuff. Like, I just want to give a very, 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 very good overview. I know a lot of people be like, bro, you gave me a tutorial and then you assume that I knew everything. And then I try to do this and you're just assuming that I know too much. So I don't want to assume that you know anything at all. We're starting all the way from the beginning, the best that I can here. All right, after we do that, we're going to check if message equals, and then you can go ahead and do whatever you want for this one as we continue. If you feel like you have more things that you want to check for instead of just one word, go ahead. You can make a list. You can make an or. I showed you all the different ways. Now it is up to you to do that. I'm just going to simply put date right here. So if we want to ask for the date, we're just going to say date. You can also say, what is today's date? I'm just going to put date to make this one go faster when we check it. And then we're going to use the date library that we imported earlier. So in order for us to do that, we can go ahead and do this. We're going to do today. Today is going to be a variable that we're going to set equal to date time. What this means is, hey, we're accessing that library that we imported at the top called date time. Let's access date time. What we're going to access in date time is date. And then in date, we're going to access a variable called, a function called today. So it's basically like, hey, we're going to date time. Inside of date time, we're going to find an area called date. And in that area, there will be a function called today. That is the simplest way for you to think about that right now. After we do that, we're going to press enter. We're going to print. And then what you're just going to print, this time we're going to put a comma. Do not put a plus. It will not work if you put a plus. It will only work if you put a comma right here. I cannot even explain to you why that is. I just know that it will not work if you put a comma. So you're going to say today's date is, and then you're going to go outside of here and then put a comma, and then you're just going to say today. Okie doke. So after we do that, we're going to press enter. That will give you the date. At any point in time, I'm just going to run this. If I have an error anywhere, I will go ahead and try to fix that for you before I continue to move on. So it says syntax bad input on this line. Let's see what I messed up here. We have if you or how are you. Let me find out it was the lines, and the lines can't be used. Yo, it was the lines. It was in fact the lines that I put right there. Let me try that again. You know, I might be in the wrong language. Let me try with one line. Okay, one line is how we do or, not two lines. Different syntaxes for different languages. So go ahead and delete that line that you had earlier if you're getting an error. And if you're already complaining about it in the comment section, bro, I'm just going to tell you, hey, skip to this point in the video. I got you covered already. You got to give me a second. I'll try to make sure I don't do that again, though. Every single time I type a line, I'll make sure I test it to see if it works. So in saying that, let's go ahead and type in date to make sure this is working properly. And no, it is not, because unsupported operation for or. Okay. All right. So we can't use that. I'm gonna go back to the two lines again. And if I do two lines, I get bad input. All right, bro. You know what? I'm just gonna put or right here. They got me. All right. I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna put or. I know or is gonna work. I'm not necessarily sure what was going on, but the rest of that, I know or is gonna work. So I'm sorry about those not working. They should have worked. In other languages, they will work. Maybe you could do your own research on why it didn't work. We're just gonna stick with or though. So instead of or, I know the and would have worked, but we're just gonna stick with or, the word or. All right. So that way we fix all problems. I try to give you the two line method. It's not, it got patched. No, I'm just playing. I don't know why it's not working, but it's probably something very small, very nuanced about what I was doing. But go ahead and look into that. See how you can get that to work in your own free time. I got to continue because this video is stretching to a very long video. After we do that, I'm going to go else if time, elif time, elif time, elif time. And then we're going to go ahead and say, whoa, 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 whoa. Jump the gun there. Elif message equals this one's kind of crazy. but let's do it. Why not? I actually don't remember making this one, but if we want to get the exact time that it is right now, we're gonna go ahead and do this because I mean I already told you to type it in. So else if time, we're gonna go ahead and put current. We did get a time variable, current underscore time, and then this was supposed to be, no, my timer is still on here as well too. So we're gonna get current underscore time, and then that's gonna be equal to date dot, oh, my fault, date time. So we're gonna go back to date time. This time, instead of date, we're gonna go to an area called date time. And in that area, we're just going to get now. So we're gonna get date time, and then we're gonna put dot now. All right, and then we're gonna put parentheses after this because the now is a function that we're accessing in date time inside of the date time area in that library. We're gonna print, and then what we're going to print is this. You're gonna say the time is, and then you'll put quotation marks. We could put how did that look last time? I'll put a space just in case. Ooh, bars. And then we'll put a comma, and then we'll put current underscore time dot. All right, and then str ftime. All right, so we made an F string here, and then I'm not even gonna act like I know what any of this means. This is a ChatGPT special right here, but hey, you're gonna be able to get date time. I'm not even gonna try to LARP right now. There's nothing I'm gonna sit here and cap about. Go ahead and look this up with the people, take this one up with the people who gave it to me. I did not even know this was in my code, but I had you write this already. I'm gonna go ahead and check if this works. We're making a chatbot say date time. Bad input. Oh, make sure you put the colon at the end. I'm gonna forget that a lot of times. Now we're gonna go ahead and put my name, and then I'm just gonna put time. Great. Y'all know what time it is where I'm at. Go ahead and do the math on that so you can see where I'm living. I'm just playing. Did I even give you the date? I did give you the date already, and I gave you the time now, just in case, you know, give you the date. This is the date, that's the time. So you still don't know where I'm at because it doesn't say if it's East Coast, West Coast, anything like that, but I'm on the West Coast. I'm in California. You know the vibes. I'm gonna go ahead and go elif. All right, and then after that, we're gonna check if message. And then now it is time for us to do our jokes, I wanna say. Nah, I got some random stuff in here real quick that if you wanna add, you could go ahead and add. I'm gonna go ahead and just copy and paste this. This is just simple stuff. It's just normal stuff that we probably should have started off with. I'm not even gonna lie, but we're just we already started off with how are you though, so this is kind of just normal with like the how are you question. We're just gonna say, hey, do you like pizza? I got some Little Caesars in the fridge right now, so you know what I'm on. You know I like pizza, and no, that is not pizza just for broke people. Like, I know you're thinking that right now. It is not just broke people pizza, okay? Now I might be broke and it might be pizza that I'm eating, but we could go bar for bar, band for band with all the other pizza places. You could put it up with Pizza Hut. You could put it up with Costco. Like, you could put it up with Hungry Howie's. If like, bro, that's what you eat around here. I got local restaurants though. I'd rather go local than I'll go any of those. If we're going global pizza chains, give me Pizza Hut over some Domino's, Papa John's, Papa Murphy's. Bruh, the door, please show yourself out, gang. But all I'm saying is, it's really not that bad. But that's so beside the point right now, and so much extra yap that I added for no reason into this video. But I hope you like the personality I'm adding for zero reason. Let's continue with what we're doing because I'm wasting time. Else if, what is your name? Like I said, ChatGPT, I did not give this for my docs because I wanted to make sure we added all the extra stuff that I didn't necessarily have in my docs. My docs weren't updated to do this date time. So therefore we got this time, which is cool, but we also got that bot stuff that I just copy and pasted right now. But speaking of that, I believe we're done now, so I could go ahead and go to my own. So we don't know, even in my own, I still had the bot for the things that I changed and made my own. Then I, tweaked those a little bit. But what we're going to continue to do here now we're going to talk about the jokes. We got else if, and then we have message equals tell me a joke, And now we're going to use our random library that we imported. So this time, same thing that we did earlier. Can you take a guess what we're going to put in first? Well, first we have to declare the variable. So the variable is going to be called joke. Remember, because we're accessing the library. Right here, we access the library today, and then we accessed another library current time. So we started off by making a variable. All right. Can you guess what we're going to do next? We need to access the random library. Do you know what we put in next? Great job. If you didn't say it, okay, bro, don't worry. I got the answer for you. Random. We're going to put random in next. After we do that, we're going to put a dot. Now you won't know the next thing, but what we're going to do is choice. We want a random choice. We want a random choice, and what we're going to do is pick a random joke from our joke list. So random dot choice joke from our joke list. And then lastly, we're going to print the joke. So all we do is print, and then I believe you could just type in joke. Yeah, we could just type in joke. We don't really need to put in anything else. It'll just give you the joke. Let's go ahead and test that. Oops, didn't add the colon. I caught that before I pressed play. Now let's go ahead and press play. My name, Amir. Let's go joke here. Well, okay. Tell me a joke. I was being a little rude and aggressive. Joke now, like I'm the king or something. It's my gesture. But what kind of tree fits in your hand? A palm tree. Let's continue forward. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and go to our timer now. We got our timer, so you're gonna go ahead and put elif, and then now we actually didn't need time for this. So I should have knew this. I think I was using time before. No, we do need time. We do need time. I take it back. All right. Message set. I don't know why AI decided to add that time part. Look, all right, but we did need time up. That is why I needed time for this. Set a timer. I got a little bit too beside myself there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, what we're gonna do is we're going to. I didn't notice that these were indented the wrong way. Yes, we're tripping off that, bro. Please make sure these are indented the proper way. You probably will get no error, because it doesn't matter, but we just like everything look neat and uniform around here. We don't play those games, all right? So after we do that, we're gonna say set a timer seconds. We're almost done, bro. We are, I promise you, we are almost done here. This is a hour-long video and we are almost done, all right? So we're gonna put seconds equals int what? We're gonna go ahead and put parentheses and then what? So what am I doing here? Let me pause, all right? So remember, integer is we're actually gonna take a cut real quick. All right, I'm back. Okay, look, I wanted to get the correct term because I promise you I have a degree. I have a certificate at least. The degree got left. That's that's a long story. I don't want to talk about that one, but I actually don't have my diploma on me, but I have a degree. I'm tired of telling you the wrong things. All right. That was a certificate in programming. I have a degree in computer information systems. I learned all of this and I'm over here like, and I'm not to mention I teach this. So like, I should know this off the top of my head, so it's bad. It's getting bad to a certain point. So I had to make sure I got the right word. What we're doing right here is typecasting. All right. So when you type in input, it automatically takes in an input no matter what. In Python, it takes it as a string. So we want to turn this input that we were putting in into a number that we can use in our code. We cannot use, if you type in a number, it will not take that as a number. It's saying like, it's saying like, oh, you typed in the number 2, like number 2 in a text, but it's not really the number 2. What we want is the number 2 in an integer, in a number that we can actually use for mathematical problems in our code. So we need to typecast it, which means we are going to take the string and turn its type into an integer. So we're going to put int input, parentheses, quotation marks, and then you're going to go ahead and say, how long would you like your timer to be? Or so, something like that. How many seconds? We're going in seconds. So if you want to be crazy, I'm not setting a minute timer, but have the user calculate how many minutes it's going to be. You want a 30-minute timer? Go ahead and 30 times 60. You need to put 1,800 seconds in here if you want a 30-minute timer. But I'm gonna go ahead and set this up like this. And then after I do that, we're going to go ahead and make a for loop. Now a for loop, We're talking about a while loop. A while loop happens while a condition is true. A for loop is going to happen a certain set amount of times, and that is going to be it. It's going to end. So while a condition is true, we have a while loop go. Now, if we put while true, that means our while loop is going to go forever or as long as our program is running. Now, a for loop is only going to loop through things a certain amount of time. So our while loop, as you've seen, loops over and over and over again, and it will continue until I give you the break point, which will be bye. This would never end unless I press the stop button. Like my chatbot right now will never end. It will go forever. Now, a for loop will only go a set amount of times, all right? So we're gonna type in for, and then we're gonna declare a variable. This variable will only be able to be used within this for loop. We cannot get a variable and name it X and then try to use it right here in the for loop. So for X, and no. We have to make a variable special to the for loop, and it is going to track how many times we iterate through the for loop. What does iterate mean? That means how many times do we go through this for loop. The for loop will only happen a certain amount of time. How many times are we going to go through this for loop? So for I, and then how many times are we going to go through the for loop? We're going to put in range. So we're going to go into the for loop range. We're going to put seconds. So that means whatever you typed in for seconds, that's how many times, that's where we're gonna start at. And we're gonna go to 0. And every single time we go through the loop, we're going to -1. So that is everything we have right here. So for I in range, and then this tells us what to do with I. Every single time, we're gonna -1 on our I. So we're gonna start at whatever we start at here. So that's why it's range. That's why the larger number is going to be at the beginning, and then we're going to go to 0. So we start at a larger number, we go down to 0, and we're going to -1 every single time until we get there. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to have I -1 every single time until we get there. So we are going to print I, and then we are going to time dot sleep. And then we're going to put 1. After we get to this time where we are going to stop our timer, we're going to print. Once we get to this variable where we're going to stop, we're going to print time is up. Time is up. And remember, we don't want this bot part, so I'm just going to say time's up. All right. So then after we do that, we're gonna make this very simple. Let's go ahead and run this real quick. Gotta check everything. What did I forget? Do you know what I forgot? I've been forgetting it all day. Every loop, if statement, conditional, all those things, even your definition for your function that we didn't go over today, we're gonna need a colon at the end. That is why I keep on getting bad inputs. Oh, no, it is not. Let's see, we still got a bad input on this line. Let me check range. Oh, I forgot in. I was telling you in for I in, but I never put in. So for I in range. So my fault about that. And then there we go. So now I'm gonna go ahead and say Amir. And I'm gonna say set a timer. How many seconds? Let's go 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, but I'm gonna stop it. It will stop. You know what? I don't know why I did that. Forgive me on that one. Forgive me on that one, all right? That was an unnecessary cell. All right, let me go ahead and put Amir and just make a 5-second timer. Half of this video is me typing slowly. All right, bro, let's chill, all right? Let's chill out on me, okay? I'm just trying, it's my first time being a teacher. Head body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time is up. All right, time is up, time is up, time is up, time is up. Now, I'm gonna do something real quick, bro. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna actually cut this out real fast. I'm gonna type in, you know what? We're wasting time here. You can go ahead and play around with this, see if you even need this time.sleep. Also figure out how we could get the time to go up. I was gonna try to show all that, but we are past the hour mark, buddy. So I'm gonna go ahead and just finish this thing up real quick. So we're gonna go ahead, if, I gotta leave something for you to, you know, explore and mess around with so you could, you know, learn. That's how you learn, is by not only following my tutorial and listening to all my explanations, but by also trying things yourself. So we're gonna say else if message equals by, and then what we're gonna do is print. All right, so now we finally got to the part where we typed in by. type bye if you want to stop chatting. So what are we going to do? We're going to stop chatting. So if message equals bye, we're going to say, all right, buddy, goodbye then. Goodbye. Goodbye, comma, space. And then you could say, it was nice talking to you. You can say whatever you want right here. Now I'm just going to keep it as a simple goodbye. And then maybe should we put a wave emoji? All right, Windows period. If you don't know how to pull this up on your Windows computer, what is it like for your Apple device? I don't know. Now it's not gonna show up. Good thing I have another window open over here where I could type in the wave and then I could just copy it and paste it into here. I don't know why some of the editors do this, but you could just copy and then you should be able to paste it. There we go. And now I have it there. So that's one way we can add an emoji, just in case you're wondering. And then I completely forgot how to do it on Windows MacBook, but don't worry, since you're watching my video, how to open, it should have been in my history, emoji on a MacBook. Let's see, bro, I got you, don't even trip. You're gonna press the FN and the E button, or Control, Command, and Space. So FN, E, or Control, Command, Space on a MacBook. I'm using a Windows computer. I wanted a MacBook though. Don't think I'm hating on you or nothing. It wasn't touchscreen. They don't have a touchscreen one because they have an iPad. So like, what's the point of making a touchscreen MacBook? So I needed a touchscreen. Why? Me and my wife play Fruit Ninja sometimes, you know, from time to time. I'm put in else. I had a ThinkPad as well, and it was touchscreen. So I just was addicted to the touchscreen. Now we're finally to else. So if we type in none of this stuff that's on the screen, what are we gonna do? We're gonna say, hey, I haven't learned how to answer that yet. Print. I haven't learned how to answer or respond to that yet. And that's all you're gonna say. You can maybe even put a sad face. I'm sorry, I can't help you, but I haven't learned how to answer that yet. And let me stop, run a play on this. Let's go ahead and test this out. My name is Amir4. All right, nice. I'm accidentally misclicking here. We did set a timer. We didn't try these small ones that I did, like do you like pizza? Yes, pizza is awesome. All right, nice. We have tell me a joke. What do you call cheese that isn't yours? Nacho cheese. This man is on a roll. Who gave him these jokes, bro? All right, lastly, I'm gonna type in random letters. Why? Because let's see what it does. I haven't learned how to answer that yet. It's even sorry that it can't answer random inputs. It's like so nice. And then lastly, we're gonna type in bye because I don't want to talk to it anymore. And then bye Amir with the wave emoji, African American, dark skin tone, type beat. Wait a minute. I checked if this worked. Last thing we needed to do. I was about to say goodbye to everybody here. I did not. What, brother? Ooh wee. That's looking pretty broken, gang. I'm not gonna lie, it's like not registering this. What we're gonna do is, if you have the emoji, don't mess with that line because that's not gonna work. Just go ahead and press enter right where we made this else, tab over one time, and then last thing we need to do is type in break because we need to end if we type in bye. So now I'm not gonna go through that whole ordeal that I just did right now. Actually, I am. I'm gonna ask it, what's your name? What? I didn't put what's because I was scared. So what is your name? But you could put what's. It's okay. It will still work the same. What's your name? Chatty bot. And I'm gonna say bye. Goodbye. And then notice the play went away and it doesn't say something to the chatbot again. It just ends. So now, great job, everybody. You completed your first Python project. You just made a chatbot. So it's not ChatGPT level. We don't have any machine learning in here or anything like that. But you do have somebody, you know, that you could just, you know, go back and forth with a little bit, have a little mini conversation with. You learned if statements, you learned for loops, you learned while loops, you learned list, you learned variables today, as well as input. We learned how to import libraries and utilize them in our code, such as the random library, the date time library, and the time library. And then is there anything that I'm missing that we learned today? Nah. Oh, and line break. We learned how to do a line break with this. Oh, we also learned how to strip the spaces away if we add any extra unneeded spaces, and how to lower everything that we typed in to lowercase. And this works on all strings or all inputs. So if we just want to take a list of strings that we have right here, we can go ahead and lower all these as well too. I'm yapping, but let's go ahead and actually give this a try. See if I broke my code, and then I will not speak anymore. All right, you know what? You know what time it is. It's time for me to go. Actually, let me try one more thing real quick. One more thing. Let me get this one more chance. Give me one more chance. All right. Print name dot, all right, print jokes dot lower. Give me one more chance. Give me one more chance. All right, this is already not gonna work. That's what I highlighted, yo. All right, hey, let me get out of here on a low note. Jeez Louise, but let's get out of here. We could definitely do it to anything that we input. We could take our inputs, we could strip them, and we could lowercase our inputs. So it definitely works on our inputs. It's not gonna work on a random list of strings. I was just yapping there. JK, it was a joke. It was a joke, actually. I was just, seeing if you were on your toes, checking you out. Whoa, I was just trying to check if you were like, I'm getting out of here. All right, see you on the next video. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Goodbye.